So where we're going to get started today, if you haven't yet, go ahead and in the assignments, just search the term midterm and our Cad import will come up. I think I'm on a different semester, so my screen will look a little bit different than yours. But these are the two files that we're looking for. And don't worry about opening it in Cad. We actually don't need Cad to do this portion of it. We just need to save them somewhere so that we can import them into Revit. So what we're doing today, everybody will need to do at some point. So what I mean by that is everybody will get a practice on how to import your Cad file. It's gone. Okay. And then if you do have an AutoCAD base plan, you'll be repeating this process because it'll be easy for you to have your own file to work with. If you don't already have a file to work with, send me a message on Canvas and let me know your plan. You can just start with this kind of naked base plan and design your own space now that you've seen some examples of projects. Or I can go back and pick a midterm for you and say, here's the Cad file, start with that. Will you guys throw up a hand if you will need base plans from me, whether it's just these? Okay, all right, I thought there was a couple more. Okay, just wanted to see who I was talking to there. Does anybody need some time to download these two, or are we ready to go? Wow, I'm impressed, well done. Okay, and I need to fire up Revit. So what we're gonna do today is start with a new project. Up until this point, we've always gone back to the tiny house, but we're starting a new file, so I don't necessarily think that this will be the start of your midterm project. It could be, but you'll have to replace some things because the majority of you will have your own base plans. So let's do a residential template. So I'm going to go to New, Browse, and then Residential. And then this is where I'll meet you guys. I see some people still finishing up the downloads and opening up Revit. So I'm going to give you guys a sec to get here, and then we'll get going. Right, I think most of you guys are there. So today we are going to go to the Insert menu, just a few over from the Architecture menu. And we have a couple different options here for Cad. Can you guys take a moment to look at those menus and let me know what our options are? Is it freaking out? Oh no.
Frozen now. Oh wait.
Calm down.
Now it's just showing the projection.
Weird. Okay. Get the party going again. So let me talk about the two different instances of Link Cad or Import Cad. And if you haven't taken AutoCAD yet, go ahead and zone out, nod and smile, and then come back after you have, and then you can watch it again. I think you'll still get the concept. So this isn't very common, but Import Cad, I'm going to start with that one because that's the one that I basically use. So Import Cad means that you're just going to import your work and you're going to trace over it, and you're basically never working on that Cad plan again. So a lot of times my projects are, what are they called? Tenant finishes. So the structures are already there and the plans were done like 15, 25 years ago in AutoCAD. So I import them in, I mock them up in Revit, and I never look at the Cad plans again. So that's Import Cad. It's kind of a one and done. Link Cad means that it's a project in AutoCAD that you might still be working on. So let's say you are taking hand drafting right now. This is fictitious, but let's say you're taking hand drafting not hand drafting, AutoCAD. You're taking AutoCAD and you're doing it at the same time as Revit. So while you're in this class and working on your midterm, your Cad file keeps being updated. Like maybe one day you have the first floor all done, and then another day you have the second floor all done. So by linking it, what it does is it looks at your computer and that file and that location, and as that file updates, your file in Revit also updates. So if you delete a wall in Cad, it deletes that line work for that wall in Revit. Does that make sense? So it's just the line work. You're only getting the line work. If you add all of your furniture and space planning in CAD, it'll add all of the line work for the space planning and furniture in Revit. So do you see how these two are linked? As you edit one, it updates the other, whereas the import is a one and done. Now, I'm assuming that most of you guys will be a one and done. I figure if you are doing editing, you may as well do it in Revit or print it out and just kind of draft on top of it, okay? But I wanted to let you know that that option is available. You might be working with an architect or a client who's working in AutoCAD, and you are ahead in Revit. That's also common too. I've had to do that before where we're kind of speaking two different languages. So that's the difference between the two of them. So linking gets updated. Import is kind of a one and done, all right? When you click on either one of them, it's going to look and work the exact same. So if half of you guys clicked on Link CAD and the other half of you clicked on Import CAD, the steps that we're about to do will be the exact same no matter what we're doing. You just have to know the difference between them, okay? So with that, let's all hopefully remember where we put our CAD plans, and we're gonna go ahead and import our first one. So let's actually, before we start importing, let's take a minute to think about this. So you guys saw that I sent you base plan 01 and base plan 02. So for those of you guys who have taken the hand drafting class, right? What do you guys know about this project that will kind of inform what we're about to do today? So we're kind of back to the first day of the tiny house. What do we know about this project? How many levels is it? Let's start there. There's 2 levels plus a roof, right? Do we know the distance between floors yet? Did Jerry give you guys that? Like when you did your elevations? Okay.
It's still, my Revit's not working.
It isn't?
No.
Hop on a new computer. Yeah, hop on a new one, and then I'll pause in a minute so that you can hop in.
The first floor ceiling height. For the
Okay.
between the first and second, but not like over the second.
Okay. Olivia, are you on?
Yes.
Yay. Am I projecting? No. Okay, I'm recording, but I'm not projecting. I'm also projecting my feelings. Okay, so here we go. We are importing CAD, and I'm going to go to my desktop in my Revit folder, CAD. So let me ask you this. What level am I in right now in my Revit project? Good. When I'm in my first floor, think about this for a minute. So my base plans, I have level 1 and level 2. If we're working in AutoCAD, they could be side by side, right? If I'm working in Revit, just think about this. Should I import them side by side?
No.
How should I import them? Should I import both of them at least on one level? So level 1 goes where?
First floor.
Good. Where does level 2 go?
Second floor.
Okay. If I go into level 2 and I can't see level 1, how do I make sure that these two things I'm importing are stacked? Good. Underlay. Good. That's where we're going. So for this first one, we click on base plan 01, and the world's tiniest thumbnail. Do you see some blue and some green and some red? For my AutoCAD people, this looks familiar to you. Nicole, Olivia, I'm so sorry. You're going to be going backwards in time. But what we can do here, let me come down to the bottom menu. So do you see under colors, we can preserve them, okay? Or if you pull down, you can make it black and white. So here's something to think about. If I know that I'm going to be turning off my CAD plan, I like to preserve them because in Revit, there's no color really, right? So that's an immediate indication that I forgot to turn off my AutoCAD plan. You don't want your AutoCAD plan on for the most part. So after you print, turn it off because now your Revit stuff should be replacing it. Got it? Now there are exceptions to that. Every once in a while, I will get like a site plan from a contractor on like one of my tenant finishes or something like that. And if I don't want to go through and redo all of that drafting, I'll bring it in black and white and just call it good. I'll just borrow the CAD work. So if you're keeping the CAD work on for whatever reason, make it black and white. If you know you need to turn it off, preserve it as a reminder, because a lot of people, they forget, like, oh, I need to turn this off. The view where people forget to turn it off the most is your 3D view. So it'll be really funny. You'll have this beautiful 3D view and then some weird carpet with like toilets and like sofas on the ground. So it's kind of cool. It's a little abstract, but anyway. So we're going to preserve that. Layers. So again, for the CAD people, this is familiar. If not, you'll get to it. But what you can do here is you can say basically anything that's visible, keep it on. Or any layer that has been made, keep it on. Or if you click specify, you can go through and decide what layers come through. Since I don't know this plan, I'm going to do all. There are ways to go back and kind of fix this. Like if way too many came on, you can go back and kind of fix the layers that come in. Import units, I always leave on auto detect. And then for positioning, I actually always do center to center. I want it to find the center of one project and pull it into the center of mine. If not, you're going to have to go looking for it. You do a double click to zoom all and it finds it for you. Because you might forget to do this and it looks like nothing happens. It's there, it's just way off to the side somewhere because they weren't center to center. And then here, first floor. Okay. So this is probably the longest we'll ever spend on this menu, right? But I just wanted you to know what we're looking at. So after all that, go ahead and click on open. And this is what I got for the first floor. It's just a shell. So it should look familiar to you guys if you have done this project before. And if you click on it, usually, oh, this one isn't. Sometimes it comes in just locked into place. You can't even move it. I'm surprised. There's usually, the reason why I was doing this, typically there's a thumbtack in it, and it's a solid blue thumbtack, and if it's thumbtacked, it means you can't move it. And to be completely honest, I don't even, oh, here, see this thumbtack? It's a pin. I was gonna say, I don't even know how to do it. Yes, I do. If you click the pin, now it doesn't move. I don't know why it didn't have the pin. Maybe it's a 2020 thing. But if you ever see the pin, you just click on it and now you can move it around. Okay. So here's our first floor. I want to pause for a minute and I want you guys to try to pull in the second floor. So we verbally talked about the steps, okay? But give it a try and I'm going to rescue you guys in about a minute and I'll actually look at my clock. Start recording again. That was your 1 minute. So I'm on the first floor. Before I even start, I want to go to the second floor because again, this isn't CAD. This isn't drafting. We're not doing things flat. We want to put things in the space they're supposed to go. And here you can see that my plan from the first floor is underlaid. It's kind of grayed out. Now, it's been a while since we've done this, but in case you wanted to verify, here in your floor plan properties, you can see underlay first floor. So if for whatever reason you wanted to turn it off, you could do none, and that'll get rid of it. I don't know what I just did. Let me bring it back. Okay, we're still good. I'm going to go back to Import Cad, Base Plan 2. I'm going to preserve the colors. So I don't know, it saved everything from last time, so I'm assuming it did for you too. And when I click on open, mine is slightly off because I was playing with the pin. I was trying to be cool. So if this was a wall and I wanted to line it up with something, what command could I use? Yeah, I'm going to use align here too. So I'm going to say I want this line and I want this one to match up with it. I want this, whoa, this line, I want this one to match up with it. Okay. There is a move command, right? I just think align's simpler. So let me show you with the move command. So if I wanted to do the move command, I click on it, and technically, you guys don't see it, but as soon as you click on something, the 4-sided arrow of move comes up. but it's not actually the move command yet. Yes, you're moving it, but it's not the actual move command. So to go to the actual move command, click on this button here, or taking a look at my screen, what's the shortcut? MV, good. So similar to AutoCAD, the first thing you need to do is the base point. Where are you picking it up from? So I want to pick it up from this corner, and now it's hard to see, but do you see those blue dashed lines? I wish they'd show me the whole first floor plan, but it's just giving me an idea of what I've picked up and where. So it still is that bottom left-hand corner, okay? And now I have to be confident that Revit knows what it's talking about. Find the other left-hand corner, and now they're stacked, okay? Why don't we try that together? I don't know when else we're gonna do the move command. So just click on your second floor, and then kind of press and drag it off to the side somewhere to where it's not lined up anymore. Got it? Olivia, is yours pinned? Hit escape for me. Click on it again. Oh, weird. Okay, cool. All right, nice. So let me go over the command with you guys again. Click on the second floor, and then MV, or grab your move. Okay, and then your first click is where you want to pick it up from. So I like to line up my corners. You can do bottom left to bottom left, or like top right to top right. Whatever you do, just make sure you're aligning them. So this time I'm going to go top right, and now it wants you to move it. So your next click will be where you're placing it. And as soon as you see this little square pop up, go ahead and click, and that'll place it for you. No? Your graphic card might be having a hard time, so get close to it and click it, and if it doesn't work, try it one more time. That's an intersection, that works too. Yeah. So this is one command where it probably would have helped to have AutoCAD. There's a lot of AutoCAD commands that go through when to click, when to drag, when to look for all of the different endpoints and object snaps. But because they aren't used that much in Revit, I graze over them. And you guys can wait to learn more about them in CAD. Okay? Sorry, Olivia. Sorry, Nicole. All right, we good with these two? Okay, let's look at a funny 3D view of our two floating plans. So, there they are, just kind of floating in space. And even from here, let's start tiling our windows. And I'm going to use the first floor as like my main view. Okay, we want to start drawing walls. Talk to a neighbor. So like Fabi, you and Nicole talk. Samantha, turn around, talk to Olivia. Or Carmen. Well, okay, it's going to be... Don't steal Carmen because, well, Alina still has Taylor. Okay, we just find somebody. Okay, find someone. And even Samantha, you guys can go across from each other. Talk about what your game plan is. All right, I'm not here. This is like the mama bird throwing you guys from the nest. Think about your game plan. What kind of walls? How are you going to draw them? How are you going to find out the information? Not rescue you guys, but I want to do it with you now. So what worked, what didn't work? Pretend that you're teaching me Revit. Like you've been working in a firm for 5 weeks. Okay, this will happen. And then, 4 weeks later, they'll hire someone and be like, will you teach this person what to do? This will most likely be your job. You're going to go in and teach people how to do Revit. I'm being completely honest here. So I'm the new chick. Okay. What worked? What didn't work? What would you warn me about before I get started? Anything?
Make sure what finish face you're on.
Yeah, perfect. So finish face. What wall type wouldn't even have a finish face? You might not even know this.
Was
A generic wall. Yeah, generic wall is just kind of empty. That's so yeah. Think about finish face, because if I'm about to do brick, make sure it's going on the outside, not the inside. So let me ask you, how would I know in my floor plan view, not my 3D view, because 3D is obvious, if I was new at this and I didn't know how to tile windows, how could I know if my walls were right or not? Like,
Change your view to detail.
good.
Fine or medium or
Perfect. Yeah, change your view settings to medium or fine so you can see those lines of the details to see where they're going. Good. So let me hop in here and let's do this. Now, before I get too far, if I had to draw this exact wall, how thick are these? Do you guys know? They're not as thick. So that's okay. You can make it bigger, right?
just one
But
that goes out and doesn't affect your interior.
sure.
Dimensions.
But if you had to make it an exact generic wall, would you know how to do that?
Yes, you could edit the time to get the same.
I love that you're thinking that. Yes, you could do that. There's somebody else over here. Could you what?
Like a dimension line?
Yeah, so we would start at a dimension, right? We'd come here and say, okay, these are 7 inches. So I can make a 7-inch generic wall type. Lindy, I like your, I'm gonna edit the type of the wall. We're gonna do that today. I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. Let's do this part together. So I heard brick wall. That's the wall that we're gonna do for now. But for your own project, do whatever, okay? So I'm gonna go click on wall, and I'm gonna go to exterior brick on wood stud. And I'm a turd because I was like, change this, but then I didn't change it. I can change it now. Before I start drawing, tell me 2 things I need to do. Good. Thank you for training me. So first thing, location line, I'm going to go interior. And then what else? Good. Yep. Let's just send it up to the roof. It doesn't matter if I don't know my ceiling heights yet. I can easily come back and adjust them as long as I'm drawing it correctly to start with. So let's see how this goes. Here's my first wall. Yep, that looks good. Brick on the outside. Do I stop at openings like this? Like on my floor plan, this obviously. Okay, good. And if I look at my, you did stop?
If we did, right?
Well, it kind of is.
Insert your door.
Yeah, because take a look at my 3D model. You can't have this air opening, right?
All the way up.
Yep.
Right.
So if you did, what I would do is take this end wall down here and delete it and then just do a trim. So you still have one continuous wall. Does that make sense? Here,
Say that again. I'm sorry. I didn't want.
let me.
Oh, really?
Yep. So I would rather you do it this way. So here's my interior. I'm going to copy what you did, except I have sloppy tracing. Let's call that good. So if you had it like this, let's see if these two will connect. So it's still 2 different segments. So for me to make it a little bit cleaner,
Just take that little one off.
yeah, I would take the little nubbin off.
Okay.
Either one. I mean, you could even take this big one off. It doesn't matter. But whatever you do, go ahead and do a trim so that that closes up. And now you have a wall to receive your door eventually. Good? All right. So I mentioned I wanted to edit a wall type. Now, remember I mentioned that this is a Revit fundamentals class and not just like an introduction to Revit. So this is one of those fundamentals that is advanced, but I think you guys will be grateful that you know how to do it now or in the future. So with that, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys how you can edit wall types, and it will be similar to everything we've edited before, but there's going to be a couple menus that you kind of have to get used to that we haven't seen before. So to start off, what we want to do is click on this wall and then hit edit type. And I know everybody's with me with that. Now, because I'm the new girl, before I start editing stuff, what do I need to do? Yep. So I'm going to say exterior who's Brooke? Brick on wood stud. I'm going to write midterm because I have no creativity right now. You can call it whatever. Okay. Down here, do you guys see where it says preview? Go ahead and shoot that off to the side for me. And it shows us a preview of the wall. And it doesn't say it here, but this is our exterior, and then it moves to the inside. So we've got brick and air gap. This is plywood sheathing. This is typically our stud wall, and then we've got gypsum board on it. Okay? What we want to do, this is our structure. So under here where it says structure, we want to edit our structure. So this is new, right? We haven't seen this before. So when we hit edit, now do you see in this menu up here, exterior side, interior side? So it matches exterior here and then interior there. That's where this, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing menu. It's kind of an ugly graph, but this is where we can go and change some stuff. So for example, Carol, let's say that your client was gonna do brick and is still gonna do brick, but brick is too expensive, so they're just gonna do like a thin set veneer. So let's take the thickness of our brick down to a 1/2 inch. Whoa, what did I do? My brain is struggling. Why can't I do a 1/2 inch in Revit?
0 space 0.5.
Sorry, do it one more time.
0 space 0.5.
0 space 0.5. I don't know why that doesn't seem right to me. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we got that on.
0.5 and it worked as well.
I did something 1,000 times and it wasn't working. And you guys get it on YouTube now. Casey, was I? Thank you. Well, we all have our days. Now you have proof that I'm not perfect, in case you were wondering. Let's also say that your sheathing needs to be 3/4 of an inch. So 0 space 0, 0.75 maybe? Yes. Okay. The substrate too. Yep, plywood sheathing. Yep. So I changed that to 3/4 of an inch. And your structure is 5.5, so that's a 6-inch wood stud. Yep, softwood lumber. Let's actually make it a metal stud. Okay. So do you guys see where it says structure 1, softwood lumber? Click into it and you'll see our 3 dots. And these are all of the things, all of the materials that we have to pick from. So this is basically just Revit saying, well, what do you want to look like? What do you want it to look like if I render it? So up here in search, here's my cursor, I'm going to dance for a minute. Type in the word metal. And let's see, we've got metal furring. I'm probably saying a lot of words that you don't know. Sorry. But metal furring, yep, would be, is there a metal stud in there?
Yes.
Oh yeah, perfect, we'll do that. Furrings, I'm surprised they have them different. They're basically the same thing. We'll do metal stud, because we were just talking about studs. I grew up in the 90s, so a stud means a hot guy.
I know, I was gonna say, it's always good to talk about studs.
So weird. Okay, so metal stud, okay. But a metal stud is actually 6 inches. So we're gonna do 0 space 6. So metal studs are not nominal, like wood studs. Again, throwing lots of stuff at you. And for whatever reason, let's say that our gypsum board, we're gonna do a 1/4 inch. People do that. So it might be a renovation. And I think that was part of the project, right? It's not a new building. It was.
I don't think that they said that. But
They didn't?
I
Okay.
assume mine wasn't.
Okay. So here's what our new wall looks like. So we did a lot of stuff. And this is where you'd go. And so you can start with a wall and just kind of change it to whatever you want. So this wall, I could have named it, I don't know what I'm going to name it. Let me look at materials first. I could have called it copper clad wall and then put this, exterior layer as copper. So that's kind of a hint for you, right? If you're looking for a typical, or like some cladding.
No, mine's not the whole building, so I'll have to talk to you about it.
Okay, and that you will do with an extrusion that we'll do a little bit later. Okay, so that's just kind of an intro on how you can go through and simply edit a wall or do some more advanced stuff. But once we have this done, let's go ahead and click OK. And then now the width of our wall is 8.5. So I don't know if it got thicker or thinner. I really don't know what ended up happening. Did it get thicker? Okay. So it's still going to be thicker than that 7 inches that we had. And it just changed that one wall that we selected because the others are still the brick on wood stud, not the midterm. What's a shortcut that I can, well, there's several ways of changing these, right? So I'm going to let you guys think about that for a minute. That's one way. Yep. And then let people think for a minute. It helps to have a minute to recall. So match properties is a quick way. And I think this other way is quick too. How could you select all of your walls at once? Good. So hover, tab, click. Thanks, Nicole. And it's saying basic wall, multiple types selected. That's okay. Now we're going to change all of them to whatever we just created. Midterm. You may have named yours something different. And one thing that I will point out about this is that because I did finish face interior, the wall got thicker, but did you notice it didn't come into my building? It stayed on the outside. So depending on your project, it's probably better to stay finish face interior because if you already have all of your walls designed, you don't want your space getting smaller. So stick to finish face interior again. Okay, and then this enclosure right here, because it's for the stairs, that also goes up 2 floors. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to let you guys figure out how thick that wall is, or if you guys just want to pick an interior wall to put in there. But let's have that go up through the 2 floors through. Up through the 2 floors. All right, I'm going to hop in and try to do that same thing. So I'm going to go to wall. And this time I'm just going to grab not a generic, but an interior. I'll do a 1 hour wall. Because it's a staircase, it should be fire rated so that whoever's upstairs can get out of the building safely. I'm going to take it up to the roof and finish face interior again. I'm going to flip it. Okay. So if I take my 3D model and kind of pull it down, that's what that looks like. And while I'm in the first floor, I'm going to throw in another wall. But then this time, I'm going to make it an interior wall. So I'm just going to take this one up to the 2nd floor. So not all of your walls are going to go up to the roof. So you can kind of see this is the wall or the line of my 2nd floor from the CAD plan. You can see that it stops right there. So as you go through and start designing the interior of your space, just remember what level you're on so they don't kind of come all the way through. And you definitely want floors in here so that so you'll have to work with your levels a little bit. You want to make sure that you have a floor so that when you're on the 2nd floor, you don't look down into your 1st floor. So it doesn't look like everything's suspended in the air. But I hope that that's enough to at least get you guys started. You can kind of start tracing around. Yeah? Okay. So on Thursday, we won't be meeting for class, but Thursday will be kind of a lab day for you guys to get whatever you need done for the midterm project, whether it's finding it, deciding what you want to do, maybe even starting it. You can also use it to finish up your interior elevations assignment. I have it due at like 5 p.m. or something like that. That way on Friday, you'll have a weekend. You don't want to work on it through the weekend. So there's a little bit of an extension, but don't worry about it. And how many of you guys would still like to use the lab on Thursday? Because I can still have it unlocked even if we don't have class. Okay, I'll have it unlocked for you guys, probably around 8:30 or 9. So lab will be open. I won't be here, but I will see you guys on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, we're going to keep working on the tiny house. But just know that simultaneously, if you want, you can do the tiny house in class, the modern 2-bedroom at home, and then maybe even start jumping on your final project too if you'd like. They'll all kind of start snowballing together. Okay. Any questions about anything we went over today? Carol, you had some questions. Did you want to go over some of, because I'm sure if you have them, other people might have them.
Or we will.
Yes, there you go.
For this assignment,
Mhm.
week 4 assignment, what sheets would you like us to include in the PDF set?
All of them. So
All.
just keep
So we're
adding it to
building
them.
on. Okay.
So when you start working with a client, your first meeting might just be the floor plan.
Okay.
But you wouldn't go to the next meeting with just the interior elevations.
Right.
Because sometimes you'd want to go back and forth like,
Okay.
oh, now let's make this change to the floor plan. So you just keep building on top.
On the floor plan,
Mhm.
would you like us to show dimensions, door window tags, sections, obviously? What kind
They're,
of things?
they're probably already there because you've
They
already
are.
turned
I
that
just
stuff
didn't know
in.
if I wanted to put them.
Yep, because we're just
Because of
growing.
all the furniture and stuff.
Oh, we're going to keep it all on.
Okay.
It's just kind of growing to look like a regular plan set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In the elevations,
Mhm.
would you like us to show anything other than the walls and the components? Do you want dimensions?
For now, no.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
perfect.
Yep.
Um,
Just some space planning stuff.
yeah. The order of the views
Mhm.
I started figuring out that they're basically the order that I drag them over to the sheet, it seems.
Yeah. Mhm.
But they're not in logical order. Is there any way to change those?
No, the only thing that you could do is just drag them in north, east, west, south. But you could do.
Okay, like if some of my circles have like 1, 3,
Yeah.
2.
So you can renumber them, but it's weird. You'll have to I'm gonna walk you through it because it's not as easy as just doing like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
Because 2's already used.
Right.
Just put an X in one of them.
Yeah, or
then
I'll
like-
do like 2, 2, if that makes sense.
Oh, and then renumber it later.
Like
Mhm.
the one
Okay.
that's numbered 1 and I don't want it to be 1, I put
Okay.
an X there. And
Yeah.
then I renumber the one that
Because
should be
typically
1.
we should go, like the standard practice
Mhm.
of the layouts, if you have 4 views.
Yep. 1 is on top.
1 is on top,
Yep.
left, if you have 4.
So can you see my screen? Am I still projecting?
Yeah.
Yep. So 1,
1 would be on top.
2,
Okay.
3, 4 is standard because north is always on top. So that's your first view.
I knew that.
You're fine.
And on your sheet,
Mhm.
they should be 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ideally, yeah.
Okay.
Ideally,
If
that'd be
I
great.
put more on, can I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Can you go 5, 6? Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Uh-huh.
If I'm doing
Yeah.
more than,
I
because you
didn't
said we
do
could
a
put
lot
more
of
than
that.
one room on a
Yeah.
sheet.
Yep.
We could do that as long as it makes
Mhm.
sense. And
Yeah, and typically, so if those are all views in your bathroom, that makes sense. But each one of these, like each room, not each room, how do I say this? So like if I have my bedroom, like 1, 2, 3, 4, the master, even if it's on the same page, wouldn't necessarily be like 5, 6, 7. You could just restart it because it's its own room now. Because it's the first view of that room.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you put
changes too.
Okay. I might need to change
Okay.
So we don't have anything due Tuesday. We have
Mm.
all of the stuff that's due this Thursday.
Yep, and there's no questions this week.
Really?
Like not from today.
Oh,
So there.
for Thursday. There's
Yeah,
there's
for
Thursday.
Thursdays, there's those questions are still there, but I'm not adding new questions. So it's just that same assignment being dragged out to Thursday.
Awesome.
Okay.
I think that's it.
All right. So I'm gonna get this posted. Those midterm examples are there for you guys, just as a reference. And like I said, they're not perfect examples, I don't think, but there could be a couple really good ones, and then others just to kind of like learn from. Okay.
Oh, I have one more question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're fine.
So on my kitchen views and my bathroom views,
Uh-huh.
I drafted in like countertops.
Yeah.
But on the floor plan, like things that went over the countertops, upper cabinets,
Mm-hmm.
it messed up. Like I expected the upper cabinets to block part of my countertop that I had
It
drafted
wouldn't,
in.
because it's over the cut line. So I would do a solid region.
Okay,
In that
so
case, that'll
I did
cover
that,
it up.
But then I wasn't sure, should I pull the countertop underneath where it would really be, or should I only pull it to the front of the upper cabinet? So that it
Nope,
looks
I would
right?
do your whole, so pretend this is in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So I would do the whole counter, and these are detail lines.
Yeah.
Let me delete those. What you could do is come back to annotate, grab another line, but make it a hidden line or overhead, either one.
Oh, that's what I was missing.
And then there's your
To
dash
show
line
your
from
upper
above.
Cabinets.
Mhm.
Brilliant.
You could do it that way.
The same, like, when you're slicing through the kitchen for an elevation and you're
Mhm.
slicing through the sides of cabinets,
Same thing.
same thing.
You can
would
just draw an
change
X.
that line type.
Uh-huh. And if it's showing like too much detail, you could even do a detail region to kind of like box around the side of your cabinet if you wanted to. I don't know what the cabinet section looks like, so
I
Yeah.
drew all my cabinets.
all right. We are still waiting to see if I can get you your kitchen cabinets. It won't be for the midterm, but it will be for the final project. So we put in the ask, and now we're just waiting for someone to buy it.
Do you want to see if we drew cabinets, do you want to see the cabinet door swing noted, or can we leave
No,
it?
I would just leave it. The only thing that I like to see is the dishwasher, but not the doors. The dishwasher is nice to have the clearance.
Oh.
That's usually the only one. So
Oh, I did
usually
not put
it's
that on
built
there.
into the appliance, but if you are doing it kind of
On the standard one, it's not. The Revit standard one.
okay.
There's no
Yeah, usually that's the only one I add.
Door swing. So we should add the door swing.
add a door swing
Mhm.
for the thing. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
We don't need to add, should we be adding faucets and things like that in this one?
You can. We have a link to the Kohler website, and it's hit and miss just like the other
Weren't
ones.
showing right, like some of them were going.
Down to the floor, and I couldn't get them to come up.
Yeah.
So with those, again, they're really
They were
picky.
underneath
I
on
just
my
decided to
tub,
let go of it.
Yeah.
Like
So
underneath my tub block, and then I didn't like get to it.
yeah. Well, then we let it go.
We let it go,
Yeah,
and I was
you can
like,
just
"Let's
let
do
it go
that."
in that case.
Where'd it go?
It's really particular because it's looking for an actual counter or plumbing to connect into.
Right.
That's why.
So do we not need to add them if it's messing us up?
Not necessarily. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, because I don't want to.
I'm just gonna pause for now because I have a feeling.